Every post has a story, and some are too wild to ignore. Dive into the most captivating moments from Reddit, told in under a minute. Subscribe to catch the twists, turns, and truths you won't believe are real. Story 1. My husband has been asking for anal sex for 10 years pretty consistently, and I've always said no. I have a pretty bad past with an ex who would do things to me sexually whether I liked it or not, anal being one of them. I remember crying during the whole thing because it was painful. We weren't properly prepared with lube, just a handful of spit, and my ex didn't care and would proceed anyways. My husband has always been aware of this, maybe not all the details but had a pretty good idea. Recently I made the decision to just do it and get it over with, hoping he'd stop pestering me, and boy was I wrong. One night we tried it, it was going okay, but all of a sudden I started crying, yes, in the middle of it all. I was so embarrassed. It came out of nowhere and I wasn't expecting that reaction. I thought I had gotten over what happened in the past, but I was wrong. Immediately my husband stopped and was concerned. I told him I was fine and I just wanted to move on. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to. The next night he was very quiet and I asked what's wrong. He said that he's upset that we can't do that again because he really enjoyed it and it sucks that some jerk from my past had to ruin it for him. I tried to be understanding. His feelings of frustration are valid. I told him we could try again, but he just got quiet and we didn't speak the rest of the night. The following day he tried to bring it up again. He wanted to know when we could do it again. I told him we could try again, but I just needed a little time. I did tell him when we do it again I would prefer he didn't finish in me. He got so upset and said that he does so much for me, especially with all the renovations he's been doing around our new house, that I should just let him do this. I really didn't like his approach to this. It felt really insensitive, and I explained that to him. He's still upset with me and we haven't spoken. This has gone on for almost a week now. I'm not sure if I'm just being too sensitive, but it kind of feels like he's being a little bit of a jerk. Do I just let him do what he wants? Am I being dramatic? I'm not sure of the solution to this. Story 2. We lost our daughter to cancer 7 years ago. She was 43. We have 2 grandsons who are now 17 and 14. Our son-in-law has always been an incredible support system and I have always loved him as my own. After our daughter passed, our son-in-law eventually began dating their nanny. Even when my daughter was still with us, I found this nanny a bit emotionally distant, at least towards my husband and I. She didn't bond much with us, but she was good with the boys, and we loved her for that. As for how she treated us, I tried to write it off as her being young and just perhaps a bit shy and intimated. After they became engaged, she gave up the nanny job and someone new was hired. They married 4 years ago and now have 3 more children, and she's currently expecting their 4th. She's 28 now, but not much has changed in terms of her quiet and often aloof personality towards me. I truthfully feel like a ghost in their home at times. This woman has never necessarily said anything rude to me outright, but she is rather cold. I get the feeling things are said behind my back and that she's just waiting for the day to blow up and let it all out on me. All conversations are distant. She doesn't include me in things like school events, milestones, even little everyday moments. If I visit, she often disappears into another room. If I ask to babysit or take the older grandkids for a day, she hesitates, checks with her husband, and usually says something like, "Not a good time right now." It's gotten much worse over the past year, as seemingly it seems there is never a good time anymore. Our son-in-law still tries. He hugs me when I visit, asks how I'm doing, but he defers to her on everything. I understand that's marriage. But it's painful to feel like I need to schedule an appointment to see my grandchildren. My daughter birthed. They used to spend weekends with us. Now I feel lucky if I get a few hours once a month. I want to say something, but what? I don't think she likes me. I do think she's actively trying to establish a boundary where my husband and I are no longer part of their family unit. I'm not invited on trips, they don't come to us for holidays, and I haven't been asked to help with any of the new babies. I send gifts, offer help where I can, yet never overstep. I stay friendly and respectful, yet I always get the same cold courtesy. It feels like we've lost our daughter all over again by being slowly pushed out of her children's lives. They're my only grandchildren. I've dreamed of watching them grow into young men, being part of their lives until my time comes. Instead, I'm being quietly erased at perhaps the most crucial point in their lives. I don't want to perpetuate the drama, and I don't want our son-in-law to feel torn. That said, I do not want to lose the presence of these boys in our life. Story 3. I have recently started dating this man, and we have refrained from sleeping together because we want to get to know each other. We have been doing the dating the right way and not jumping into bed together. He is a bigger man, and I have never been with a bigger guy before, so I have been feeling a bit intimidated. He mentioned being worried he would disappoint me in the bedroom, and I asked him why. He stated that it's harder for him to maneuver in the bedroom and size was not an issue, which I reassured him that it's something we could work through. We ended up going on a trip, and I was feeling the timing was right to finally sleep together. Things got a little hot and heavy, and when I finally saw his penis, it was very small. I would say maybe 2 inches hard. I tried getting on top and even switching positions, but with his size and the size of his penis, I could not even feel it. He had no stamina, and when I tried giving him oral, it ended up going soft. When it went soft, it completely went like inside him and disappeared. I have never experienced this before. He was extremely embarrassed, and the drive home the next day felt super awkward. While trying to have sex, I was worshipping his body to make him feel secure. However, in the back of my mind, I was mortified and couldn't wait for it to be over. I still care about him, but sex is an important part for me in a relationship. I couldn't imagine only receiving oral and using toys with no actual penis penetration. I'm feeling really confused and torn. I feel like I need to break things off, and I don't know what to tell him why I want to break up without hurting his feelings or making him feel worse about his body than he already does. I just don't think I can get past what I felt. Please don't judge, I'm actually really sad about everything, and it's probably my fault for having expectations and initiating sex. I guess it's better to find out now than to end up introducing the kids or moving in together and finding out down the road. Story 4. I recently found out I carry a rare genetic mutation that will, at some point in the next 10 to 20 years, cause me to go legally blind. There's no cure, only management, and eventually, not even that. I found out during a specialist eye exam after I started having strange tunnel vision and sensitivity to light. After a few tests, the doctor asked if anyone in my family had retinitis pigmentosa. I said no, because I genuinely didn't know. He gave me a look and said, "Are you sure? Because this is almost always inherited." And that's when I started putting pieces together. Long story short, I called my mom. She got quiet. Said I should talk to my dad. I called him. He finally admitted, in a half-whisper, that his uncle had gone blind young, and that his own father had vision problems too, but it never seemed serious enough to bring up. Are you kidding me? I was furious. I've lived 31 years without knowing this. I've made life decisions, career, parenting, finances, thinking I was healthy. I have twins. I could have tested them. I could have had a plan. And they let me walk into this blind, literally and figuratively. When I confronted them, my mom started crying and said they didn't want to scare me. My dad said he didn't want to believe it would happen to me. I said that's not protecting, that's gambling. With my life. With my kids' lives. Then they begged me not to tell my brothers. I have 2 younger brothers in their 20s. They haven't had kids yet. They haven't been tested. My parents said I should wait until they settle down or ask questions. Nope. I called a family meeting. Told them everything. One of them got very quiet. The other freaked out. His fiancée is already 12 weeks pregnant. They were livid that our parents knew this was in the family and said nothing. My mom is now saying I ruined everything and that I humiliated them in front of their own sons. She said I called her a coward, and she's right. I did. Because I think she is. You don't get to hide this stuff and call it love. That's fear, not protection. Now they say I've divided the family and broken their trust. But honestly, I don't trust them anymore. And if I could go NC entirely, I would. I only keep the line open so they can still see their grandkids, but only supervised. So, ITA for going against their wishes, telling my brothers, and refusing to treat this like a family shame. Story 5. This happened a little while ago and we've kind of moved on, but lately I've been thinking about it and wondering if there's something wrong with me or if I'm being shallow. My wife and I have recently been working through a desire discrepancy in our relationship. I'm the higher libido partner and she is lower relative to mine. We have done both couples and individual therapy. And honestly, things are much better, or at the very least we're in a stable period. Story 6. I dated my ex-fiancé for 7 years. We were middle school and high school sweethearts, and for a long time, everything seemed perfect. We talked about marriage and built a life together, weathering the normal ups and downs of any relationship, or so I thought. Looking back now, I realize how much I overlooked. I've always been a laid-back, easygoing person, sometimes to a fault. I'd do anything for the people I care about, even if it meant neglecting my own needs. Sarah, my ex, was bubbly but emotionally unstable. She came from a wealthy family and grew up with privileges I didn't have, which may have shaped her expectations and behavior. Over the years, our arguments grew more intense. Her family would often intervene because they could hear her screaming from rooms away. Her mom warned her repeatedly, "If you don't change, he's going to leave you." At the time, I brushed it off, but now I see how right she was. Sarah slowly isolated me from friends and family. After reconnecting with old friends later, they admitted they'd noticed her toxic behavior and even apologized for distancing themselves from me. But the real turning point came when we turned 20. Sarah's attitude toward me did a complete 180. She became cruel, volatile, and manipulative. She'd yell at me, threaten to break up, then immediately apologize. She'd pull me aside in public to call me an embarrassment. She even complained about our intimacy being boring. Then came the hoe phase comment. During a particularly nasty fight, Sarah snapped, "We should have taken a break a long time ago. I never got to have my hoe phase in high school." I was stunned. She threw her engagement ring at me, then backtracked with an apology. Needing space, I told her I had to cool off before work. She agreed, but while I was gone, she went to another guy's house and texted me about it. I didn't even know this guy. After another day of drama, including her berating me in front of friends, I'd had enough. While she was at work, I packed my things and moved in with my grandma. That same day, her mom saw us at lunch and said, "Oh, I didn't know you were with your grandma. I'll tell Sarah I saw you." I stopped her and said, "Don't. I'm leaving her." Her mom started crying and admitted, "I knew this was coming. You have nothing to apologize for." As I was unpacking, Sarah called me, sobbing hysterically, until her dad told her to stop. The second I confirmed it was over, her tone flipped. "Okay, I'm blocking you now. Bye." After the breakup, I was heartbroken, but my family and reconnected friends helped me heal. I learned that nearly everyone in my life had disliked her, they just hadn't said anything to spare my feelings. We even laughed later at her cringeworthy social media posts, like her dancing in a bar wearing a crop top and camo pants. Now, my life is more stable than ever. I've grown stronger, set boundaries, and realized my worth. Leaving was the best decision I ever made. Story 7. My sister is getting married soon. I was at her place helping with some wedding prep when she suddenly says, "I want to announce free transportation for all my wedding guests, to make it look classy." I was like, "Okay, that's nice, but how are you pulling that off?" She says, "Since your husband owns a transportation business and has a few cars, it'll be easy for him to handle." I said, "All right, he will be here soon to pick me up when he comes. You guys can talk and maybe bargain the price." She cuts me off and goes, "No, I don't want to pay. I mean, I want him to offer it for free to my guests." I just looked at her. Then she adds, "You can talk to him, he'll accept. He listens to you." I then asked her, "Why then do you want to promise free services to people when you're not the one providing them?" She said, "I have rich friends I invited for the wedding, and you know what that means. I want to make it look so classic. You can talk to him about it." I told her straight out I'm not going to convince my husband to pause his business, offer up his cars, fuel, drivers, and time all for free just so you can look good in front of her rich friends. She said I'm not being supportive to her. Story 8. My daughter is going into her junior year in high school and has been involved in band since middle school. My wife became a member of the band Boosters, The parents, adults who are behind the scenes fundraising and taking care of the peripherals, i.e. chaperones, uniforms, etc., 2 years ago, and was put in charge of the marching band uniforms. The uniforms are custom ordered and are a 2-piece outfit, with a pair of ski pants type bib overalls, covered by a short jacket. The uniforms get their wear and tear from the students and have to be repaired and washed during summer break, a large task considering there are over 200 uniforms for the school. My wife brought home approximately 30 uniforms that needed to be repaired, washed, and returned. The uniforms were fixed, but were not washed commercially, but instead in my personal household washer. My wife didn't want to take the risk of damaging the uniforms by washing them commercially, and hung on a large rolling costume rack to drip dry. Unfortunately, due to both of our schedules, the uniforms didn't get returned immediately, but sat in my house for several weeks. As my wife had keys to the band room, I left it to her good graces to take the uniforms back. Cut to today. My wife finally had the time to return the uniforms. As we finished loading them into the car, I suggested she should take the large costume rack with her, since there was nothing we needed it for, other than the uniforms. She replied, "Oh, I'm bringing daughter's section's uniforms back to the house, another 30 or so uniforms." I asked why, and she replied they have to be washed before the season starts. "Are you washing them in our washer?" I asked. "Well, yeah." She replied. It was at this time that I put my foot down. "Look," I said, "we can wash our daughter's uniform, but the others aren't coming back here. Either the parents can have their kids take their individual uniforms home and wash them, or they're getting washed commercially. I'm not putting the wear and tear on my personal washer to wash the entire band's uniforms. If something happens, and the washer destroys a uniform, we're financially on the hook for it. Likewise, if the washer somehow gets damaged, that's also out of my pocket." She tried to justify it, saying it was only my daughter's section and that's it, but I repeated that the other parents could be responsible and wash their child's uniforms, or take them all to a commercial laundromat dry cleaner, but I was not going to be responsible for washing the rest of the band's uniforms in my house. She went silent, got in the car and left. My feeling is that if I backtrack and tell her yes, then how long before more uniforms, or other items, come back to the house to get washed? I understand that she is the head of the uniform committee, but that shouldn't mean that my house has to become the revolving laundromat for the school. Story 9. I'm an absolute idiot. My husband and I work for the same company, different departments, so we ride to and from work together. I get off much earlier than he does on Thursdays, so I usually drive home and then go pick him up when he gets off at our normal time. Today I had to leave work really early in the morning to take our son to urgent care. It was a very hectic and stressful day because of that. I forgot to pick him up. I feel awful. I just completely blanked and somehow thought he had the car. I was texting him about how I couldn't wait for him to get home and he was standing in the hot parking lot looking for me. He's great and he's been telling me that it's no big deal, but I still feel terrible. Being forgotten and stranded somewhere is one of my biggest worries, so I'm probably projecting. Story 10. For 6 years, I've lived with my partner's daughter Lila, and for 6 years, she's made our lives hell. She came to live with us when she was 9, the same age my son is now, and from the very beginning, it was clear she had no respect for me, for our home, or worst of all, for my 2 young children. The stealing started almost immediately. First it was little things, my makeup, my perfume, cash from my wallet. When there were no consequences, she got bolder. Soon she was taking things right in front of me, looking me dead in the eye as she did it. She stole from her own father too, but he just shrugged it off like it was nothing. The disrespect was constant. She'd slam doors in my kids' faces, call them names, snatch toys right out of their hands. When my daughter was just 4, Lila pushed her so hard into a doorframe that she had a bruise the size of an orange on her back. All because my little girl dared to get clothes from their shared room before Lila took a shower. That was the day we moved my daughter out of their shared bedroom. I found her first vape when she was 11. It was in a drawer she shared with my youngest, just sitting there next to crayons and coloring books. I showed my partner immediately, but he was on a work trip and did nothing. By 7th grade, she was getting suspended for vaping in school bathrooms. This year, She got caught smoking weed right in the middle of class while the teacher was talking. The school calls constantly about the vaping, the weed, the failing grades, the way she talks to teachers. She lies about where she's going, saying she's getting her hair braided but coming home at 11 p.m. with her hair exactly the same. She's been drinking since she was 8 or 9. Her own mother told me she used to steal alcohol from her back when she still lived overseas. Through all of this, my partner does nothing. Worse than nothing, he actively undermines me. Every time I try to discipline her, he reverses it. When I ask what he plans to do about her behavior, he tells me she's not your daughter or none of your business. Once he actually said, "I'm glad she does that to you because you suck up to her too much." Meanwhile, I've done everything for this girl. I helped her learn English when she first arrived. I fought to get her into a better school. When she was bullied in 6th grade, I was the one who went to bat for her. 2 months ago, I spent hours in the ER with her when she had terrible period pains, arguing with doctors until they finally did an ultrasound and diagnosed her with PCOS. I made all her follow-up appointments, got all her medications. And how does she thank me? By screaming at me when I remind her to take her medicine. Today was the last straw. She brought food into her bedroom, against house rules, for a friend. When I called her out, she lied right to my face, "I don't have any food in here." My partner actually defended her. "It's for her friend." Like that made it okay. That's when I lost it. I told him no more friends in our house. If he can't make her respect our rules, she needs to leave. And honestly, he needs to go too. Of course he accused me of just looking for excuses to kick her out. So I listed everything. 6 years of stealing, lying, violence, disrespect. All the times I've tried to help her while he did nothing. He just made excuses and walked away. Now he's hiding in the kids' room, refusing to talk to me. The worst part. My own children are starting to act like her. They talk back, they yell, they ask why Lila gets away with everything while they get punished. They're not wrong, it is unfair. And I won't let it continue. Lila's mother lives overseas and actually agrees with me. She's always telling Lila to appreciate me more. But the truth is, Lila was like this before she ever came to us. Her own family warned us she was trouble. She choked her little cousins when she got angry. She stole and drank and destroyed things. Her father's refusal to parent her just made it all worse. In less than 3 years, she'll be an adult. The real world won't care about her excuses. But I can't wait that long, not when my own children are suffering. I've put up with this for 6 years. I've been stolen from, disrespected, and gaslit. I've watched my kids get hurt. No more. Her father failed her. Her mother couldn't handle her. But I won't let them fail my children too. If that makes me the villain in their story, so be it. My kids deserve better. Story 11. I have been married to my husband for 30 years. 20 or so years ago he had an emotional affair with a woman he met online. I discovered the affair after she contacted me when he attempted to break it off, after 6 months of fairly explicit messages back and forth. When I asked him about it at the time, he admitted everything. We worked through it with couples counseling. I honestly haven't thought about it much in years and I haven't brought it up outside of counseling ever. Recently, our niece came to stay with us after her husband was having an emotional affair with a coworker. My husband was incensed on her behalf, as am I, but then said no good man would ever do that to his wife. I just sort of stared at him. He asked why and I reminded him that he did that to me. He looked legitimately confused. He eventually put the pieces back together after arguing with me about it for 30 minutes. I mean, I know we are getting older, but he's otherwise cognitively sharp. Could he really have forgotten? It was the worst time of my life. The hardest thing I have done in my 51 years was choose to forgive him. I'm hurt, but it doesn't seem fair to be hurt over something so long buried. TLDR. Husband forgot he had an emotional affair and I'm hurt that he doesn't recall such a painful time in our lives. I don't know what to do next. Story 12. I am currently 21 weeks pregnant. My boyfriend and I planned a small gender reveal with close friends and family. Nothing over the top, backyard setup, cupcakes, balloons, just something chill and happy. About 15 minutes before we were supposed to do the reveal, His ex shows up. Not just shows up, walks in like she owns the place, hugs him, brings a gift, and says something like, "I wouldn't miss this. I helped raise this man." I just stood there like, what? For background, they dated for 5 years, broke up 2 years before we got together. He claims they're still on good terms and talks to her here and there. I've told him before that I'm not comfortable with that, especially now that I'm pregnant. He always says she's just part of his past and not a threat. I pulled him aside and asked why she was here. He told me she texted him earlier asking if she could come, and he said yes because he didn't think it was a big deal. No heads up. No warning. And this is a party I planned. While I'm carrying our child. I told him this was disrespectful and I didn't want her there. He got annoyed and told me to relax and not make a scene, and that it's not the time to be jealous or petty. So I left. I didn't yell or go off, I just grabbed my stuff and walked out because I wasn't about to sit through that and pretend I was fine. Now he's mad at me for ruining the reveal and says I embarrassed him in front of his family. His mom texted me saying I need to grow up and stop being so emotional for the baby's sake. I honestly feel like no one is seeing how messed up it is that he invited his ex to something this personal, without even asking me. Story 13. I am trying to settle a debate. My boyfriend proposed to me 3 years ago and has since decided that he does not want to get married. He feels that marriage is just telling the government that you're in a relationship. I feel like he is afraid to commit but wants me to have all the wifely duties. The wifely duties include being with him in the same monogamous relationship we have, being his beneficiary for his life insurance, and basically taking care of his needs as he does mine. We live our lives financially blended. We consult each other when we need to make decisions. He wants to end our engagement but stay together. I love him, he loves me, and we are happy. However, I say that he wants me to be a wife without the commitment. He states that he is committed and a piece of paper doesn't need to state that. So am I the ***** for stating that he wants a wife without the commitment? For a little context, I am 37, he is 43. Edit to add more context, he didn't want to get married before he proposed. He changed his mind. But life happened, in the most fucked up way. I have 3 children from a previous marriage, he had 1 daughter. He loves my kids as his own. About 2 years ago his daughter passed. Shortly after that his cousin was murdered. We postponed due to grief and mental illness, mostly on my part. Story 14. I have been struggling with this situation for years and I've even been in therapy trying to heal from it. Back in 2017, I was at work when one of my bio mom's aunts called me out of the blue. She said they were in the middle of an argument and that my mom needed to tell me the truth. I asked, "What truth?" And she said, "Your dad isn't your dad." For context, my bio mom and my dad divorced when I was 7 after she cheated on him with women. She got custody, and I lived with her and my 2 younger brothers. My dad was an amazing father to me, but she refused to let me see him. She still let my brothers go with him, but not me. I always begged, but she said no. So when I heard that phone call in 2017, I was shocked. I immediately started calling close family. I called my grandmother, my bio mom's mom, and I asked her directly, "Who is my real dad?" She said my dad's name. I asked again, her answer, "I don't know." I hung up. I was devastated. I then called my dad, the one who raised me. I told him what was said, and I asked him point blank, "Are you my dad?" He got extremely defensive, saying things like, "Who do remember being your dad and who do remember changing you as a baby?" I started to cry because he was answering without answering. It felt like a riddle, so I asked again, "Please, are you my biological father?" He got quiet, then finally said, "No, I'm not." I was crushed and hung up on him, something I've never done before. I called him back later, and he explained that he came into my life when I was 1, signed my birth certificate, and raised me like his own. But if I wanted answers about my conception, I'd have to go to my bio mom, who I hadn't spoken to in years because of how toxic and traumatic my childhood was with her. Let's be real, my bio mom is a known liar, manipulator, and she was never a mother to me. She dumped us on her girlfriends, partied, disappeared, and tried to buy forgiveness when she felt like it. So when I called her, I already had low expectations. She said she got kicked out as a teen and stayed with an older coworker. According to her, they went out for drinks, and she was gaped, but she claims she doesn't know who it was, doesn't remember anything, and can't give me any answers. Maybe that's true. But also, if you knew her history, you'd understand why I take it with a grain of salt. Fast forward to 2019, I had a son. And suddenly, she wants to be involved. She found out I was pregnant through Facebook and started blowing up my adoptive mom's phone. What does the baby want for Christmas? Can we go out to dinner? I'll treat. She's always tried to buy love, and I'm just done. She still won't give me answers. Not even an attempt. And yet she feels entitled to be in my son's life. People keep saying, but she's still your mom, and that I need to forgive. But the truth is she was never a mother to me. Not emotionally. Not physically. Not in any way that mattered. Story 15. My best friend, 29F, recently got married. I, 30F, have been her bridesmaid for about a year now, partaking in bridesmaids' duties. Her and I have been close friends for several years. During our friendship, I moved to the other side of the country and am now a 6-hour flight away with a 3-hour time difference. Her wedding took place on a Saturday. On Thursday, my cat started acting strange, but I didn't think much of it. On Friday, I decided I had to take my cat to the vet. The vet said she had a kidney infection and that it was serious and that my cat would need to be hospitalized. I was terrified that she would die. After going back and forth with myself and my fiancé for hours, I made the truly difficult decision to call my friend on Friday and tell her I can't make it to the wedding. When I told my friend, she said I should take care of my cat. I asked her if she was mad and she said I don't know how to feel. I love my friend, but I needed to stay here to be with her. It's heart-wrenching to think about my cat needing me and me being too far away to come. I'm all she has. Of course, I felt incredibly guilty missing the wedding, and I still feel awful about the decision. I didn't make the decision lightly. On the morning of the wedding, I sent her a text saying I hope the wedding goes well and that I'm happy she's marrying her partner. She said, "Okay, thanks." I haven't reached out since because I wanted to give her space and have her come to me. 2 weeks have gone by, and she texted me this morning, a little heated. She asked me how my cat was and I said she's okay. She was hospitalized for a few days and is now at home. She told me that she disagreed with my decision. I told her that I'm so sorry and feel awful about missing the wedding. I told her I love her and continuously apologized. She asked me if I regret my decision and I said no. She asked me why my fiancé couldn't handle it and I told her that it's ultimately my cat and I want to be nearby if anything were to take a turn for the worse. One of the other bridesmaids texted me the morning of the wedding, 8 a.m., asking me if I could take a later flight and miss the wedding but come to the reception, which started at 6 p.m. I said it was too late. Again, I'm 6 hours away with a 3-hour time change. I don't know if there was a direct flight that would have gotten me in on time. My friend told me that people volunteered to her they would not have made the same decision as me and that what I did was fucked up. I didn't know my cat would be okay until Saturday at 11 a.m. At that point, it was too late. Again, I could not leave my cat if she needed me. I would never expect anyone in my life to abandon their animal. So, I was surprised when she said she wouldn't have made the same decision as me. That she would have left her dog to be at my wedding if the roles were reversed. Story 16. We have 2 little kids and lost our 4-month-old daughter in 2022. We've been married 5 years. Our marriage has been pretty stressful. We've been through a lot together, but I feel like grief is tearing us apart. My husband says I am a good mother but a terrible wife. He expects me to have zero control over our kids, which I think is just impossible when they are so young. He verbally abuses me, not all the time but enough. He comments negatively on my weight, how I'm so shitty to be around, and how his family doesn't like me and wants him to leave me. He just told me he was waiting for my maternity leave to be over to leave me because of the finances, and it would look really bad on him to leave me during a maternity leave. I just feel shocked and devastated, and I don't know my next steps if a divorce is what he ultimately chooses. I've already imagined what my life would be like if we got divorced and shared custody of the kids, and it honestly doesn't look better for me, as I would have to live with my mom, move out of the city my kids live in, etc. Any advice would be appreciated. Story 17. I'm terrified my boyfriend is going to propose, and I don't want to say yes. We've been dating almost 5 years. He's a good man. He has a great job, treats me well, loves my family. But lately I can feel it coming. He's been acting weird, hiding his phone, whispering to my mom, being cagey about money. And I don't want to marry him. Not because I don't care about him, but because I've realized I don't love him the way I should. I care about him like a friend. There's no spark anymore. Maybe there never really was. But I'm scared to break his heart. I'm scared to start over at 31. I'm scared everyone will think I'm ungrateful. I keep hoping he just won't ask. But I know he will. And I don't know what I'm going to say.